Fnatic are in a position to set up well.
Oh, we're in game. We're in game. Okay, over to you, Mitch and Tom.
Sue trying to take all of the jobs, it seems. Like, coming in for our casting as well. She was like, they love Split, but I love it more. Just take it over.
Yeah, we've already had Jonn taken down, one of the key players for NIP on this attack side. I mean, it's going to be a speed round if we've ever seen one. Fnatic over on this defense, starting it out on Split, and you can see there's 2 players. There's a poison orb down as well, so they've got a decent bit of slowing if NIP decide to blitz through onto the A site. But Heaven is wide open for the taking. There's the flash, information going their way. Now it's time to win those duels, and Magnum's in trouble. He's gone down, but these players are tagged up, and Boaster's taking advantage for 2. That's the man advantage still to play with for Fnatic. Well, that's not quite the TP he was looking for, but it's good because BNJ can then plant the spike, and maybe he'll go up thereafter. Probably not. Hopefully not, because Fnatic are already waiting, and Mistic's picked off his teammate. Oh, well, good night.
It's not the round for Shadow Steps. It's not the round.
No, it hasn't quite done him any favors on that one. There's Fearoth getting the defuse. Well, maybe not. There's Hyber getting the defuse. Both of those players topping out the scoreboard overall in the last map. They lost 13-7, and yet these super subs of
because it is one of those agents where I feel like a lot of the utilities fairly simplistic, fairly basic, but it's something I'll definitely keep an eye on because the composition's changed a little bit, maybe just to give Boaster a little bit more space to almost take those aggressive fights, but more so, I think it could also get them that extra information so that Fearoth can actually place his utility a little bit better at times.
Well, with that first round under their belt, Fnatic now face off against
a force.
Fine. And NIP have quickly taken it into Heaven. That is Fnatic caught off guard again. Mistic's going to have to... Oh, no. Wow. That paranoia was perfect, and it even just confirms that he's here. They blitz in from all angles and take him down. Another fantastic execute from NIP. The way these guys apply pressure, you can see that Fnatic just cannot keep up with this pace.
Remaining.
Xand already looking like he's put the nail in the coffin. It's left all onto Boaster. 1 versus 4, and well, not really getting the luck that he was probably hoping for, spamming in that smoke. This is the one thing I will say you have to love watching about NIP. Fearless, investing straight back into the round, knowing that they can try and put the pressure straight back onto Fnatic, especially playing on that attacking side. Making sure you get off to a strong start is always going to be important, building up that economy. And oh no, don't do it. Don't do it. I thought he was going to get knifed. Instead, he's just kind of sat on his head.
Well, that's one way to do it.
What?
Fnatic weren't expecting it.
No, that's for sure. And again, this is a style that, although I think NIP at times can be quite readable, I don't think it's necessarily something Fnatic are going to be used to playing. Like, you think of the likes of FPX, this slow, defaulty style of play, working things out with different pieces of information, slowly picking you apart, and NIP are just like, let's go.
There's very few teams that will play the game the way NIP just did in that round, especially with the pace that they've come in. And I don't know if they would have done that had the previous map had seen less success from those kind of plays. And I think in EMEA, I think most teams that play it like that are pretty bad. So you're not going to be in a... if they're blitzing you down like that in a force buy, they're not going to have the success. But these NIP guys are unbelievable. I mean, just the entry ability of Shanji and Jonn alone blows my mind. Coming to round number 3, as you can see, Fnatic aren't going to have the same force buy. It's just pistols. And they've successfully gambled on the right side here for NIP. Moving into the A side, it's wide open, Boaster's down, and now they can just play ranged duels.
Yeah, and the thing for Fnatic here is almost, do you even want to try and give these players the chance to actually farm up their ultimate orb, or if you want to try and die to the spike? Like, you can try and hold them in on the way out, make some cash of your own, maybe get rid of some of the weaponry, but if you're just facing into them, this is just farming for the side of NIP, and that just looked a little disjointed. If you're going to invest that paranoia, I want to see it done so that other players...
The ult economy that's overflowing, NIP have got plenty of credits here as well.
Yeah, and then there's not going to be a change. Straight away, paranoia are up so that they can take control in towards their heaven. MAGNUM just spams through, though, and already finds the opener. Shanji quick up front and almost manages to take the pick, but it's a slaughter up top, leaving just one man standing. Now, BNJ, he's been good at clutches. He's been pretty good, Mitch, but it's not happening.
No. You know, this is a round I can 100% get behind for NIP. I think that play clearly didn't work, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't take a genius to say that, but the reality is they've had success from these blitz plays so often that, yeah, you just throw those
You sure we don't need to tell us,
try to close in. Maybe we do, actually. Yeah, we could probably break it down a little bit, you know. What I will say, though, is MAGNUM Snakebite, fantastic. He's ready for that blitz play to come through, whether it was going to be the dash out of Jonn, whether it was Blast Pack play coming out of xand. It didn't matter. That Snakebite was going to catch them. He sprays down afterwards, and even if the player comes through, he's going to get tagged down by the wall. It's an easy kill with so many players up in heaven. It was a well-handled round, but that was a blitz that Fnatic were ready for. And we've already seen what happens when they're not ready for them. So this is going to have to be high alert from this point forward, because remember, they've only dealt with the bonus round at this point.
I feel like BNJ is basically just spending his time trying his best to bait them into swinging him, and the rest of the team, well, we got the spike. Like, we're not going to move, no reason to do anything. Calm and collected from Fnatic, and it's a Prime Gaming flawless right back. So there you go. Both teams going to be doing
2 away in the previous round. No kills, no orbs, no plants for them moving into the previous, so.
And they still got service. You let that one sit?
I think so. Let it breathe.
Mistic in a very aggressive position. They did not expect it to be it. I don't know what the exit strategy was, though. Just a very one-and-done position for him, which, okay, it might catch them off guard. And as I said, they've got the res, so it doesn't really play much in this round whatsoever. And for the remainder, you can already see Hyber still trying to be a little bit more aggressive, and Fearoth as well, just attempting to slow them down. But, well, he's going to have to do an awful lot. It does seem, however, that they've got a good read, because Boaster's already rotating into position.
Big problem, though. There's that other ultimate we mentioned, and it's looking for some players. Oh, he's found them as well. Good by Fearoth. And maybe the spray down. Sure, xand doesn't get it, but his teammates converted. The site's theirs, and it looks like the round might be 1v4 now with just Boaster left alive, and he loses his head quite quickly. This is NIP, a stranglehold on the game right now. Fnatic came in.
If he gets a kill and goes down, okay, it's not the end of the world. But if they have a res, it's worthless.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, in a situation like that, I'm expecting him to almost paranoia. But for him to do that, he needs to have a player peeking out from vents. Yeah. He needs to have a player coming out from heaven. And Hyber was stuck behind the smoke. He wasn't able to assist. So really, it was good counter by NIP as well to make sure those angles were constantly caught off. At this time, smoke goes down, same place, but NIP are going to play right through it. They want to try to take this control. Reactions there from Fearoth to put the slow on the floor, but that doesn't keep NIP back. Not for long anyways. The nade, it's not going to come through. In fact, they're just allowing these guys to make their way forward, and then Hyber pops the showstopper. A double kill for that man. That leaves BNJ all alone. And he is found and taken down. Fnatic with a third. That's a round they needed.
Yeah, I like the fact that this one, by the looks of things though, there might be an early one-way being set up over on B. So I wouldn't be overly surprised. He's actually fake TP'd to bait them into thinking that he's gone aggressive. That's Mistic over on the B side. So almost faking that information. And in fact, for now at least, we're going to see them doubling back to try and put some pressure on aim. Maybe because they know they've lost that control, or it could just be a coincidence.
Yeah, you never know. But what I do know is Hyber's about to take a fight. He's up above in heaven, and he's got a teammate, Boaster, covering the cross. And he's playing reactive on the back of Boaster's flash once he sees them come across. There's the flash, it pops, nade going down, and there's a player coming up close to him, but after seeing that nade, they've decided to back on off. Moving to the A site through main, walling off heaven. That's control going their way. Jonn taking a bit of a risk going back out, but Hyber narrowly misses the shot, keeping NIP into a 5v5. Oh, Mistic! He's been caught. Great game sense from BNJ.
Yeah, he tries to TP back and it just doesn't work out. They've still got to try and clear this man, and again, that's just so difficult. BNJ just a rock at the back of the site, and well, the problem now is they've had to invest his res and they still haven't got rid of him. He's even just going to maneuver elsewhere, and they haven't cleared Jonn. He just sits in the corner, leaving Fearoth all alone to try and clutch it once again, and BNJ even gets that final kill. He is so difficult just to maneuver from different...
I don't know how good their pivoting is, but they haven't needed to so far. They are reacting perfectly off each other in these rounds. Like you said, BNJ TPs into screens, and immediately Jonn repositions based on that. It is split-second decision-making that is ultimately showing to be a well-oiled, maybe Puggy machine when we came into the tournament, but I doubt that even now. This is clean gameplay. And when you look at Fnatic, the way that you want to beat a style like NIP is with hard structure, and unfortunately with limited time to prepare and 2 stand-ins, it's not exactly possible to come in and be the most structured team. And again, they had the best chance of being that team on Ascent. Now they're on Split where NIP wanted to play, and it's a completely different ballgame like we're seeing.
Again, information-wise, they've spotted Janji in mid, but this has been a fairly normal occurrence out from the side of NIP. They like to pressure that mid control, make sure Fnatic can't get too aggressive, as we saw from Mistic in the early rounds, and then they fall back into what is basically a default play, and Bezany on the other side is just selling this fake into A. It means there can't be any sort of rotation, but with the smoke down, it would have to be basically a pop straight through it. Now, they don't have the flashes available for that, so they're just going to walk straight in dry, but Fearoth only gets 1.
They know Mystic's on the back of the side as well from that paranoia, so he's going to be taken down immediately. Hyber might want to try to blitz on site, but look who's waiting for him. Jonn's in the corner. Oh, blast pack to try to push him into the nade. That's cheeky. Bezany's being caught on the mid lurk too. This opens up an avenue of approach for Fnatic, at least, still having MAGNUM online as they move towards the site, but that wall's already being used up. Utility's going to be limited. Snakebite to site doesn't find them. Good spam, but not following through for the kill. And Jonn's still alive down below, although he'll be dealt with. MAGNUM in the 1v1 to try and clutch this out, but it's BNJ again on the other side of that smoke. He's tucked into the right, and MAGNUM won't catch him. NIP get away with another 5-3. We now sit. This attack side just...
Okay, you've got yourself a Viper's Pit, and I think they might actually throw it in. I'm seeing a Spectre onto MAGNUM. It seems peculiar to buy that if you're not actually going to use the ult.
It could be to set himself up as well, though, if they want to play a retake at some point. I like the fact that they play early aggression and don't just gamble, hold down one part of the map with it. But now that you've not seen them, you know, those rotations have to start coming through, and they are. Question is, are NIP going to commit to the B site? I'd be quite surprised. They haven't found a pick. They're not seeing Fnatic trying to really keep them back or even take those fights on range.
Look at this re-aggress.
Now they're realizing there's probably a push out of the defense here. NIP are going to catch it.
They're right on the edge of them. Only a couple of players. Like, this is definitely going to be a surprise. And bear in mind, MAGNUM's the one with the gun in hand. So the first player going down isn't so much of a problem. Shandy, I think he's aware. He's baited him in, but MAGNUM will win the fight anyway, and then fall back to try and put this pressure onto B once again.
Jonn still tucked in the corner. Look at that. The timing was perfect to distract Mistic, pulling his crosshair away. Nade and Snakebite down to the site, but the spike has made it out successfully, and BNJ waiting in middle to catch that rotation. Finds massive results for that. Hyper got to do it all, and he realizes now that they're rotating. Honestly, he probably just tries to grab a weapon here from one of those downed enemies. I don't even know if he'll want to go for it once he gets that in hand.
Oh, it doesn't seem like he is. He's just going to run back towards the site, maybe try and catch someone else, make things a bit more costly. The one thing that isn't really there at the moment for NIP is that extra economy. So any extra kills he can get could at least make the latter rounds of the half a little bit tougher. They're going to know exactly where he is if VNJ doesn't give him the time of day. Already dropped 6-3 in favor of the Ninjas and Fnatic.
Previous round. This time a bit of a change, though. So you see MAGNUM right away is willing to put this one down.
Yeah, just opting to try and lock down this side of the map. I don't think that's really going to deter NIP too much. In fact, you can already see a couple of players trying to pressure it, but they've had so much success at being able to shut down Mistic on this B site as the solo defender. Like, I really don't think that so far his Omen has really worked out for him, at least on the last couple of maps. So they've been trying to find if he's looking to get cheeky, looking to get aggressive, but in this round at least it's much more passive from Fnatic.
Yeah, you see that even in the orb control, Tom. I mean, they gave it up completely in B main. We've had the orb taken by cauanzin, who's now one away from getting the res back up again. And this is a big concern. 2 players still towards the A side of the map holding down this control. And NIP are going to be doing what has worked for them again and again, splitting in through heaven and trying to fight the B site. They need a ton of utility, but they don't really. They sort of waited back for it. The showstopper not finding it, but he still gets the kill down below. This is unbelievable. There just seems to be nothing that NIP can do wrong.
No, what he did was wrong. It was disgusting. I feel gross, but like it's just the way that he flies into the site. The showstopper gets absolutely nothing because of all of the counter utility, and then just has that reaction instant headshot. Like that's a desk breaker. Like someone's just hit a loud bang on the stage with a punch through the desk, because ultimately, at least in the early stages of that round, Fnatic didn't do anything wrong, but then NIP just come and break their whole setup apart.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely unbelievable. The fact that you see him fire the showstopper, fly through the air down below, being shot at the whole way, and then land and stylishly just tap away, take the kill. Like, oh, were you shooting me, bro? Sorry about that. NIP hunting down the final rifle. Magnum is surrounded from all sides. He's paranoid up and about to be dropped on.
Oh, no. It's not even Bucky FC anymore. There's one. There's one.
Boaster is.
I like how it's your man who's the only sane one within the bunch.
Thank you, Fearoth. Why? Oh my god! Oh my god, Boaster!
Oh, no.
I hate it. I hate it so much. They haven't checked it. They're running through. Oh, Boaster! He's only good for the one. That could have been massive, but one kill found. Fnatic on the back foot again.
Now what are you gonna do? The double judge Bucky retake. Things you never want to see. Oh, well, Bezany is not going to be happy with that one. Mistic now he's looking for the ultimate clutch. This would be the biggest flex of his entire career if he was able to somehow pull this one home, and unfortunately, NIP are just giving him no chance.
I would have booked NIP's flight home if they lost this 1v3, to be honest. I would have been sat outside the venue in the truck ready to drive him to the airport. You can't lose a 1v3 to a judge, and NIP make that very clear. Shanji with a 3K to close this out.
Already 8 rounds in the attacking side of Split. This is a dominant performance whether you like it or not, and, well, for the players on Fnatic, I think a 4th is a lifeline at best.
Well, here comes the paranoia to start. They're worried about maybe a judge up close. I wonder why. Well, he's on the side already. Shanji's blast packing in, opening it up. Jonn trades out. They've got site control. Magnum's going to try and contest.
Oh, no.
That was not pretty. Not pretty at all. 5 versus 2. Mistic grabbing a couple of kills. This maybe makes it doable. And Fearoth's one away from Raze.
Yeah, there's at least a possibility here. He's going to try and fake out the TP to the side. The problem is the wraparound. There is the kill for Fearoth. Now they can look to try and find the Raze, but he's dropped down. No! He's missed out the player, and he's still got caught, but he still manages to land the kills. What have I just witnessed? That's the ugliest clutch in VALORANT history, but it's a round on the board for Fnatic.
Tom, I'm looking at the wall, and it's making as much sense to me as the game was. What was that? How did that happen? Fearoth dropped down. He didn't even manage to
level of mistakes, because you know that NIP are going to be right on you if you have anything of the sort. Now we're going to see an early aggressive camera. I imagine that was heard, but it's still just going to give the information. And the other information they get is from this double duelist mid peak.
No more charges left.
You know, you say peak, right? They're having a little bit of a look.
They peaked.
They're gazing down every so often. Yeah, they unpeaked right after. They're tucked in. And I'm kind of surprised. You know, I said early aggression is what I expect. I expect confidence off the bat, but NIP are clearly looking to close this out. They're not trying to mess around, not trying to give any advantage to Fnatic. And the pistol round really, it could be so valuable for this attacking side. It looks like we've got a fake being set up here with Boaster. Holding for any B main aggression. Probably going to pop his util in towards B. And they'll blitz out afterwards. They've got a decent setup for this as well. They're able to block out Heaven and use their wall to cross over. So not too bad.
He's pulled the rotation as well. cauanzin going to have an awful lot to do in just a moment's time, but he's put the slow down. He's bought himself at least a moment or two, and it looks like they're just setting up for the retake, with the rest of the players still be able to run back. He's doing that with a classic, just tapping heads through the utility, and whoa, okay, sure, it will be the site taken from Fnatic, but again, look how fast that rotation's already come through.
Of course, you got Jonn picking up Mistic there. Another frag for NIP as they gear up for this full push. Boaster trapped down in sewers. He's so far away. And the rest of the team's falling. Fearoth does his best, but only the one to be found initially. And that went exactly as you expected in the 1v4. NIP have picked up the pistol, and that is another nail in Fnatic's coffin with 9 rounds on the board now.
To be an eco, I don't really expect to see much put into the round whatsoever, and again, like, this is likely to put 10 on the board for that defensive side going in. Like, I wouldn't really be counting on any team to be able to bring that back, especially not one when you look at Fnatic, who have desperately struggled in recent times to actually play on this attacking side. Bear in mind, the last time they played this map, Mitch, they got 0 rounds on the attack, and that was the first half.
Yeah, it's not great, actually. Yeah. 0 out of 12.
Yeah, and then you remember the
conversion,
previous
right?
one, you should do, it was 44 rounds. I think they got 3. Now, we then did see in overtime 10 attacking rounds in a row, but this time they can't afford to get 3 in regulation because in case anybody can't do the math, they will have lost.
Yeah. This is certainly not the easiest of games for Fnatic, and we know all the issues that they're dealing with, but NIP is the main issue. Now, look, 1 kill on the board already is decent. But Fnatic need to get more out of it.
Just look where Jonn is.
Like, the man's a lunatic. He honestly, he's deranged. He just runs at them and takes map control with sheer confidence. And the thing is,
Have you seen Rogue One?
Yeah.
Have you seen the guy who's like, I'm one with the Force is with me. And just walks out in front of, I am one with the Force is with me. Just walks out in front of all of the bullets. That's Jonn.
It's unreal. Here he is catching the rotate. Hey, Mistic. Oh, a little tag, and he's dashing into him. Of course he is.
Hey, he wants to get that Blade Storm. He's trying to edge towards it at least. And
10 seconds.
well, the remaining players, if anything, on Fnatic just have to die. Boaster's found 1, but at this point, yeah, going down is the more important thing just to make sure he gets that additional cash. Now, all in all for an eco for Fnatic.
To back them up. For Fnatic, they were on a full buy, and they got destroyed. I think, was it a flawless round that we saw then? It was very close to anyways. The point being, they better win this round right now. And NIP get to use these weaker weapons on the defense, so they can hold these nasty angles and try to initiate on their own terms.
Just looking at Jonn's position, just sat in the smoke. He almost wins that duel. Fearoth has to actually heal himself back, but luckily it was only a Spectre on the other side, so they will get off to a strong start. This is a current crunch on mid. Like, they know that there's that extra piece of utility. xand waiting patiently for anybody to go for that peek, and more importantly, they are going to spot both players currently in towards Heaven, but that might actually almost convince them to go back towards xand, which is, I feel like that's a worse decision, just because it's him.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, there's 3 players on this A side of the map. Obviously, no way for Fnatic to know that. Great flash. Going to be moving over to the B side. Good call by Fnatic. They're playing this one blind.
So Cypher.
There's no need for that now. Boaster's going to be sending some angry messages. I don't think Boaster can get angry. I don't think it's possible. That's the plan secured, at least for Fnatic. And now 5 versus 4, NIP will try to just do what damage they can.
Yeah, chances of much, slim, but they do still have the paranoia. That's why he sat outside the back of the site. He's looking to just try and almost create an incredibly awkward position for the remaining players of Fnatic as the rest of his team come through. Now, they've got to try and break the wall up top, which is going to give information that there's at least players wrapping back around. And they are all kind of locked into the site. Now, sure, they had the exit through B. There's the paranoia. Fearoth has to drop down, but he has cover. And that's the main thing. BNJ, though, actually wins that battle. They can't really lose too much more. Bear in mind how many buy rounds are probably going to come back through, and there was a chance for BNJ to do some real damage. But again, a couple of kills. It's not bad for NIP, but Fnatic are just going to be happy.
Again, NIP are going to come in with rifles to play with. And everybody on that defensive side is damn close to having their ult online.
This is more of what we expected. Wall early on A to just lock out that portion of the map. And then on the other side, Jonn is gone through, but actually Fearoth still swings it anyway. The flash, I don't think actually gave the information that he was there, but it did catch his teammate, and that's a little bit more awkward. This patient play from Fnatic has given them that early duel that they wanted, and now they're just still waiting. They're expecting this to be more of a domino effect, Mitch, where someone else is eventually going to swing.
Yeah, and normally that does come through, but I think at this point, NIP have definitely shown their willingness to take these rounds incredibly slow, which has surprised me immensely. Considering the way that the game has gone so far, the way their attack side went, every time that they go for space, they seem to find it successfully. Now, Fnatic were hoping they would do that. Again, they were waiting for that push to come through, but it doesn't. And so 40 seconds left on the clock. They're going to go for this B split. But limited information. Luckily, they are gambling towards the right side. And that wall is going to completely block out BNJ. The blind doesn't do that much for them, and BNJ goes down. Esni following as well. That's the round secured for Fnatic. NIP have to pretty much go for a save.
Yeah, dismantled. Pick them apart one by one. A controlled and collective from Fnatic. Definitely one of the best rounds we've seen from them. Not the most exciting, but one where they didn't really give them an edge, didn't really give them any position for those players to sort of pop off as we've seen in previous rounds. And if there was ever going to be a way back in for Fnatic, it needed to be on a round like this.
Absolutely. A round like this, both in context of where it is in the game, the fiscal importance of it, but also in the context of how they won it. Flawlessly rushing into the site, taking these duels. It's systematic, and that's what we want. No gaps, clean executions. But getting that done again and again will be difficult. A lot of the time, NIP are going to have 3 players towards this B side of the map. They're not going to have somebody aggressively up in B main to be picked off or anything like that. If they play the same defaults that we've seen from them, it will be tough for Fnatic to repeat this result. But I say tough, not impossible.
No, I've sort of had a heavier lean in towards B over the last couple of rounds, so I don't really mind sticking the weapons there just as a bit of a guess. And in the early stages, at least, Fnatic are going to try and basically fight back into mid.
You know what, Tom? Quick shout out to Lothar at home. He was just hitting me up there before the game, letting me know. Apparently, so BNJ wants to be called BNJ, right? We get this little document from the players, and they say like, hey, you know, the coaches or whatever will let us know. But apparently on the NIP website it says Banjo. So I think that must be what it stands for, maybe, or what it used to be. So there you go. He's a Banjo, the Banjo boy. Fnatic moving in towards the B side. We got some aggression out of NIP. Banjo's leading the charge. He's inside of B main. And I mean, this is going to be a double push into a Vandal that MAGNUM is more than ready for. Jonn, though, still manages to find one peeking into this B site. That's all that he gets done, though. Well handled. Fnatic get the site. They get the plants. Now those 2 rifles on NIP again kind of start thinking, hey, I like the A site this time of year. It's just pretty nice. Go hang out for a bit.
That doesn't seem like they're giving it up just yet, though. Both players within heaven
have money,
maybe hoping that there's going to be an angle to face back into Fearoth. Looking a little different to normal, but he's going to try and sneak his way back from behind. Already one ended and knows the second is there and not overfacing, but he will eventually get the final kill.
You know what I love about that? You see the way he doesn't, and they knew that even if they didn't, they'll come into this round in a comfortable spot.
Already again, patient start for Fnatic. They've done very well at just dismantling any level of aggression. Like, you're starting to see Jonn have to play much more passive positions and not be so aggressively taking the fight as he was. Like, we saw him deep in B main not too long ago, and with the wall currently there again. This is something that basically Fnatic just have to continue to break, but they have to be careful because if cauanzin's on top of it, then it's much more of a problem.
So Raze is online for Fnatic. You've got a Raze and a Blade Storm for NIP that can come through, but it's Shanji, man. He's who I'm worried about. If this guy manages to find a kill, an orb, a plant, well, not a plant, but I'd be pretty worried if he found a plant. Let's go with a defuse on that one.
So just defuse it. Like, yeah, win the round.
That'd be cool, yeah, if you could just take the spike, just hide it somewhere. No, it wouldn't. That would be terrible. Please don't ever add that. 35 seconds left. Fnatic are trying to blitz in through the A side, or at least they're trying to fake it out. They're making some noise. They're taking down Shanji and hoping that Jonn's going to come pushing on through and try to take that space. But Jonn, I love this guy, man. He makes the... So a lot of players are too aggressive, right? They can't stop W King, but Jonn makes good decisions. And when he does get stupidly aggressive, he wins.
Oh, it could be a free kill, but it's only going to be the one. Not anything more. Again, they've managed to bait away the rotation, and it was Mesny hastily moving his way back forward. A swing, though, from Boaster. Gives up the kill. And now that they've got the res, they've managed to bring things back into a winnable position for NIP. Hyber spot, though, could be everything. They need to make sure they clear him. He's faked the footsteps, though. It's so smart. They used the run to leave one player behind, and now it's all onto Mistic. Attempting the clutch, but he's stuck in the corner. The nade has done so much. There's no chance for him here. An oversight from Fnatic, but more importantly, a fantastic retake from NIP.
Man, the words that we heard from everyone essentially, puggy. That was the key term for NIP. And I'm not even going to disagree with that. But it's the reactive play. It's when things are now going wrong, we're seeing them recover it. We're seeing those protocols be fell back onto, and that's all I need to say that NIP is a good team. This is a serious contender.
Again, default from Fnatic, just waiting to see what sort of play NIP are going to look to try and make into this round. They've been able to catch the majority so far and just make sure that they're not going to really fall apart. The problem is with this early lockdown of the A site, you can almost gamble those extra players in towards mid and have that site anchor firmly in the B site, and Fnatic aren't really gaining much from this sort of position, but they have been able to isolate Cypher at least in a 1v1 trade in most cases. So again, looks like the same sort of pressure put in, but they did fake it the last time they did this, so I'll be curious to see if there's a rotation.
Oh, he's gone over the trap, but they noticed it's okay. It's all good. Ready for that. Here comes the showstopper. Iber has to wait a moment. Oh, and that actually sets off his blast pack at the wrong time. They've left the site, but at the end of the day, it's done its job. It took space, it got them on the site, but Mistic with a double is absolutely insane. All right, playing on into the Viper's pit. BNJ goes down. Bezany, 10 HP left, and he's good for one. I could see so much more happening there with how these rounds have gone, but Fnatic have dealt with it. Left xand to clutch it.
Yeah, maybe one of the most impactful from the shadows you've ever seen. Mistic just teleports behind the whole squad. I don't think you see that work in pro play very often.
They're just like, well, how is this guy in our spawn?
Yeah.
You'll love it, man. I remember those days. 11-8. NIP are in the lead, but they've struggled to get some rounds on the board. Fnatic are starting to really build up some momentum. And this split, although will prejudice it as a defensive-sided map the majority of the time, right here, these teams are picking up attack-sided rounds a lot easier by the looks of things. NIP have been left down to practically nothing. Jonn, though, oh, if he gets Mistic, I'm so worried, but he's missed the first few shots. 2 knives left to work with. And they're starting to realize this is a B play.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even though he hasn't got a kill, he's taken away that control. So there can't be anybody in this direction. Now, sure, they can look to split back. This has me on edge. This sort of bait and switch setup. I think they're just going to wait. No reason for Fnatic to try and make a play through this spot, especially without any utility as well. And they're almost trying to set this up so that xand can nade them back as BNJ goes for his initial pick so that it isn't just a straight up swing and trade. The time, though, Mitch, starting to tick down. 35 seconds left on the clock, and I think the B-side play looks fairly obvious.
Oh no, the shorty's got one, and now it's up close. Swapped out to a Vandal. BNJ already got a second. Down below, he's dealt with. A Bucky's come through for more. What is that? Bezany's got a double with a Bucky, and Boaster's 1 HP. NIP have just come into this round with a shorty and some...
Back at the site almost every single round, and this time he's just there with a Bucky. Like, not going to be expecting it on the other side. 4 rounds in a row needed for Fnatic, otherwise they are going to be heading into that lower bracket match, I believe, versus Zeta, who had a real struggles in their first game versus DRX, but I think it's safe to say that Fnatic's form right now is nowhere near the level of DRX. cauanzin, he's not had much to do so far this game with how many B takes we've had, but the first time he's asked of, he's going to find a couple.
This is going to be tough. Already with the man disadvantage for Fnatic. No ultis in their favor. Hell, NIP don't have them, but except for the From the Shadows, and maybe that'll have huge impact based on what Mistic was doing earlier. The thing is, though, NIP can just sit down now. They've got B control passively. There's still a wall up in mid, so they know no push is coming through, but, I mean, that's going to disappear in a moment. There it is gone. And with that, you see the rotation coming over, because now there's that extra angle to watch, so xand's got to come over and make sure nobody crosses through. They'll even use the From the Shadows as a recon dart, confirming that no one's in mid, allowing xand to go back to A. Fnatic need to move, because they are running into a stack now.
Yeah, this is an ultimate trap, basically. The flash, all it's really going to do is catch the cam, but they have the information. The swings there from xand, but he actually goes down. An opportunity, but still 2 players within that site is going to make things incredibly difficult. The timing of the peak's good for Bezany, but he gets nothing done. Jonn, though, he's that knife in the back. They didn't know he was here. Swings out already with a couple, and it is done. It is NIP to send Fnatic